Hello, this is Wahid Ahmed and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to discuss about the enzymes, which is also a part of CSS PMS examination, which is also a chapter included in metric, FSC, A levels and O levels. So we are going to discuss this chapter in very detail. So it's a eighth lecture regarding CSS PMS, but it's a lecture about enzymes. So wide variety of students can cover this topic. It's according to the biologist or according to the scientists, enzymes have a vital role in our life. So they form the basis of life, and without them we cannot function. So what are enzymes? First, what are enzymes? So we are going to define enzymes, and the content we are going to cover is written before me. So we are going to know about what are enzymes. We are going to define what are enzymes, what are their characteristics, what is the mechanism of action of enzymes. So what is the nomenclature of enzymes, how enzymes are named. So we are going to discuss what are the factors that affect the activity of enzyme, and at last we are going to discuss the application of enzyme, especially in mobilizing enzymes, taking the example of lactose free milk. So this is the content of which I am going to cover in this very lecture. So you are going to have a brief overview regarding the enzyme, and it's formed the basis for all of the classes which I have mentioned before. So it's a lecture for both who are in higher school, for those who are in undergraduate, and those who are in master's level. So I am going to discuss in detail what are enzymes. Before going to the enzymes, need to define what are catalysts. So you need to define what are catalysts. A catalyst is a substance which speed up the chemical reaction without being used itself. Listen to me again. A catalyst is a substance which speeds up the chemical reaction without being used itself. What does that mean? It means that the catalyst is taking part in any chemical reaction. It is serving in any chemical reaction, but it is not being utilized itself. The quantity at the initial stage of a reaction and the quantity at the end of the reaction would remain same. Same is the case with the enzyme. Enzymes are those biological catalysts which speed up the chemical reaction in our body, but without being used itself. So this is one of the difference between the catalyst and enzyme. Enzyme are the biological catalysts, while catalyst speed up the chemical reaction in industries where else they were being used. So it's a biological. Why it is called a biological catalyst? Because it is composed of biomolecule. Which biomolecule? It's protein. So enzymes are proteinaceous in nature. They are coded by our DNA. So they are the biological catalysts which speed up the chemical reaction without being used itself. If they are utilized in the chemical reaction, that means they are not enzymes. So in simple terms, the quantity of enzyme at the start of the reaction, at the end of the reaction, will always remain the same. This is the first key point in understanding the concepts of enzyme. Moving to the second point, which is regarding the characteristics of enzyme. So, actually, we have discussed about the proteins in detail in the last previous lectures. Proteins are of fibrous and globular. So, actually, the compact form of enzyme is actually a globular protein, and it has three-dimensional structure. So it's a protein in nature. First of all, it's a protein in nature that is encoded by our DNA. So this is one of the characteristics of enzyme. The other characteristics of enzyme, which are actually the definition goes that it is not being used in the chemical reaction. Just it's a transitional element of that reaction. So enzymes, first of all, they are protein in nature. They are globular protein in nature. Second thing is that they are not being used in the chemical reaction. Third thing is that they are required in minute amounts. That is what we can infer from the definition. Okay. The other characteristics are that enzymes are act at particular temperature. They act at particular pH. They act at they require substrate for the reaction. These are the characteristics which we are going to infer from the rest of the lecture. Characteristics would be discussed at the end because these can be inferred from this topic. So basically, they are protein nature. They require cofactor. There are certain other terms which I need to define. Is that enzyme cofactor? Cofactor is an additional factor that is required for the activity of enzyme to work, without which enzyme would not act. So it's a non-protein part of nature. Prosthetic group. Protein part attached to the enzyme is called prosthetic group. Okay, there are two terms are being used more confusing by the student. What is apoenzyme and holoenzyme? Apoenzyme without cofactor, without prosthetic group, it's a apoenzyme. So enzyme without a prostatic group and a cofactor is called apoenzyme. Why? Holoenzyme is a completely activated enzyme which do have prostatic group and cofactor in addition to that. So we can differentiate on the basis of functionality that apoenzyme is not an active enzyme while haloenzyme is an active enzyme. These are certain terms which are confused by some of the students. So I have cleared the confusion here. So moving on to the next topic, what is the mechanism of action of enzyme? So before moving to that, I want to define you that enzyme is actually made protein in nature. So it is made up of amino acids. So some of the amino acids are exposed while certain are packed. So it's a globular structure, three-dimensional structure. So it's a globular structure, and enzymes have certain part of the amino acids are exposed. So this part is formed as active site, where certain amino acids form bonding with the coming substrate to start the activity. So this is the active site part of an enzyme where the substrate bind. What is substrate? What is active site? Active site is the part of site where the substrate attach. And a substrate is a molecule which has to be digested by the enzyme or which has to be catalyzed by the enzyme. Only for digestion purpose enzyme is not used. It is used in various anabolic reactions. It is used as in various catabolic reactions. What are anabolic reactions? What are catabolic reactions? Anabolic reactions mean synthesis of something. Catabolic reactions we can from the cut. So catabolic reaction in which molecules are being split down. So in anabolic plus catabolic form the metabolic reactions. So enzymes can play a role in the synthesis of product. Maybe they may be used to split something into other products. So enzymes have variety of activities they deals with. So, moving to back to the structure of enzyme basically is made up of amino acids. Some of the amino acids are exposed that form the active site. The remaining acid form the closed compact form of three-dimensional structure of enzyme. So, this is the structure of enzyme. There have been various models proposed by the scientists regarding the activity of enzymes. One of the most famous is lock and key hypothesis model. The next is induced fit model. There are a number of other models that have been proposed which have been rejected, so there is no need to discuss that model. So we are discussing two basic models for the activity of enzyme. One is lock and key hypothesis model. Still, its name as hypothesis because it has not become a law or theory. So it's a model. Lock and key hypothesis is a model. So one thing I want to highlight here that here log is an enzyme and key is a substrate. So by drawing the diagram, we can infer all these equations regarding the working of enzymes. Okay. Moving on to this topic, mechanism of action. Okay. This is your enzyme where the substrate approach. Okay. Another thing which we can mention that enzyme is specific for every substrate. This could be mentioned in the characteristic. This is another characteristics of enzyme. So enzyme is always specific for substrate. So this is one thing you should keep in mind. So what inferences we are still drawing? Enzymes are the biological catalysts. Enzymes are protein in nature. Enzyme have specific substrate, and further on we are going to infer the characteristics of enzyme from our lecture. So this is the lock and key mechanism, lock and key hypothesis model. This is your enzyme. This is your substrate. Then further moving on, here is substrate bind. So it is splitted. It might be not a exact diagram, but substrate your product has been splitted. So to the enzyme substrate has approached. It's from an enzyme substrate complex, and later on returning to enzyme plus products. So this is lock and key hypothesis, in which this is actually enzyme is a lock and substrate is a key. Here you are going to find a fault in the lock and key hypothesis model. What is a fault? We know that the substrate is being into product. So here substrate is a key, but the key always remain unchanged after a chemical reaction. So this is a problem with enzyme and key hypothesis model. So we have adapted another model, that is induced fit model. So the recently accepted model for enzyme activity is induced fit model. So for what we have for that, substrate is a key where enzyme is a lock. Enzyme and substrate form enzyme substrate complex, and the actually key open ups the key actually enzymes splits into product. But this is the problem that while working on this model, substrate is taken as a key. So that is the problem with this model. Now next, moving on to the next model, which is induced fit model. So what is induced fit model? Induced fit model is that that enzymes may change slight in the structure of their active site. That is their active site. So they change slight in structure of their active site to accommodate the substrate and split into product. So this model is somehow widely accepted because this can infer that when in transition state, enzyme have to bind with attach with the substrate. So the bonding has occurred that might have changed in active site. Certain changes in active site. There are certain breakup bond and certain formation of bonds in the transition state. So this is how we can say that induced fit model is more acceptable model for enzyme. Okay, this is how these two models differ. While moving on to the next topic, which is actually in the nomenclature of enzymes, not going into detail because it's a topic of bachelor's levels in detail. Okay, how the enzymes are going to be named. But I'm going to briefly define you that enzymes are named according to their substrate. Enzymes are named according to their activity. So if the enzymes suppose act on certain proteins, so it will name as protease. So enzymes act on lipids, so it will name as lipase. So there have been naming of enzymes, there have been nomenclature of enzymes. So enzyme could be named on the basis of activity or reaction that is going on. So some enzymes perform the activity of oxidation. So these enzymes are oxidatase. So some perform the process of reduction. That enzymes are named under reductase. So first of all, enzyme could be named on the basis of substrate. Enzyme could be named on the basis of activity that they perform. Enzyme could be named keeping in mind the name of substrate plus the activity. So as we take the example of DNA polymerase, DNA is a substrate while it attaches the nucleotides in a DNA. So it polymerizes the nucleotides in a DNA. So that enzyme is known as DNA polymerase. So enzymes can be named on 3 or 4 basic rules. which I have defined it being clearly. First one is name of substrate. Second, type of chemical reaction. Third, substrate plus chemical reaction. Fourth, types of product produced. So there is wide array of nomenclature that is need to be defined, but that is being defined. But some of the basic nomenclature is that enzymes are based on the name of substrate, lipid on which they act. Enzyme may act on lipids, so it is named as a lipase. Enzyme may act on proteins, so it may name as protease. So enzyme could perform the activity of oxidation, reduction, so oxidase, reductase. So enzyme may act on some substrate with this activity defined DNA polymerase. So I have given you some examples. So this is how the enzymes are named. So moving on to the next topic. So first of all, we have defined the three characteristics of enzymes. First of all, they are protein nature. They are complex protein. Second, they have specific substrate for their activity. Third one, what was it? Protein nature. They are not being used themselves in the chemical reaction. So we can from the log and we have enzymes always remain the same at the end. So this is what we have inferred up till now about the characteristics of enzyme. So moving on to the next topic. Okay. Moving on to the next topic, I am going to discuss about what we call is basically the factors affecting the activity of enzymes. Factors affecting the activity of enzyme. First of all, we are going to discuss the components of enzyme as their factor. First of all, amount of enzyme or enzyme concentration. Okay. Second, concentration of substrate. Third, we put temperature at which they are acting. Fourth, they have particular pH at which they act. So these are the basic theme or basic factors affecting the activity of enzyme. We are going to deal with each and every one with in detail. So amount of enzyme. For example, we have same amount of substrate. Taking 2 beakers, number 1, beaker 2. We have equal amount of substrate. Okay, that's maybe something we could do 5 units, 5 units. We pour enzyme here as 2 microgram, here 3 microgram, and same on more beakers. So I'm taking 5 beakers, 2 gram, 5 minutes. Concentration is same. 5, okay, 3 microgram, 4 microgram, 5 microgram, 6 microgram. So we have increased the concentration of enzymes. So what I'm going to tell you that I'm going to tell you this by drawing graph. Amount of enzyme, time, amount of product. Okay. First of all, as the concentration is same, so what we would infer, concentration of substrate is same. What we infer, the product produced will be same. So all the curves will be meeting at the same point. So first of all, for 2 microgram, 3 microgram, 4, 5, like this. So what at initial stage, the enzymatic activity would be same for enzymatic activity would differ. Actually, enzymatic activity at the initial stage would differ because there are more molecules of enzyme available for more substrate. So as we increase the concentration of enzyme, so the initial rate of reaction would be same. But what will happen with the passage of time as the substrate will deplete, the reaction will slow down, and the product will always be dependent on the amount of substrate you have used. So enzyme concentration do have effect. At the initial stage, it speed up because more active sites are available, more substrate can bind, and more product can produce at the initial stage. When the saturation level of substrate is reached, when the saturation for enzyme is reached, so at the end of that, the product would be same, but the initial rate of reaction, actually there is difference of initial rate of reaction for enzyme. So actually at the start of the chemical reaction, more enzyme substrate will come down, more product will be produced. Suppose this is for 2, so this is for 5. So more product initially is produced for enzyme, but later on the product will remain same because the concentration of substrate is same. Okay, this is how an increase in enzyme concentration will increase the reaction manifold. So this is I am inferring from the concentration of enzyme. So concentration of enzyme do have impact on the enzymatic activity as more surface as more active sites are available for the activity. Next, I am moving towards the concentration of substrate. So what we involves this situation here, it's a 5 unit, basically we take 5 unit of enzymes, 5 unit enzyme, and we increase the concentration of substrate. So what would happen, the more product would produce, but more product will produce as equal number of active sites are available, but the reaction will slow down at a different pace. So this is how the activity of substrate is. Depletion of substrate will affect the activity. So there is a stage when substrate would be depleted, but more product will produce. So the product produced will be different. In that case, graph would be different. So more product will produce for that one because more substrate, less product will produce for that one that has less substrate. So activity of substrate, presence of substrate, amount of substrate do affect the activity of enzyme. More substrate, more product will produce. So less substrate, product will produce because active sites might be available. They initially start the reaction at a greater pace. Next, how the temperature affect the activity of enzyme? Mostly the optimum temperature, that is the temperature at which something acts best. So in case of these enzymes, for the optimum temperature for enzymes in human body is 37 degrees centigrade, or mostly some people ensure 40. Because we do have temperature at certain stages, but our enzymes remains active, so they perform their activity. So the optimum temperature may lie between 37 to 40. So from this, I am going to tell you that the optimum temperature for the enzyme that are present in human body, but the optimum temperature for rest of enzyme might be different. As we take their bacterial enzymes which are present in hot springs, so they have the high temperature activity performed. So activity of enzymes, I am going to draw the active for enzyme graph of activity activity under the temperature. This is enzyme activity. This is temperature. So 0 to, we will take it to 75. This is the graph. This is always the graph. Um, this is the optimum activity, highest activity. So 0, 10, 20, 30, 37, and 37 to 40, and 50. So this is the graph. This is the optimum temperature. As the temperature is low temperature. As the low temperature. What is the reason behind low activity of enzyme at this temperature? Because of low collision between substrate and enzyme. Why low collision? Because that the substrate have low energy. How they have low energy? We can say that when at low temperature, the body movement is restricted somehow. We can take the example of water molecules that are restricted at low temperature. So like that, they possess less energy for the movement. So in this case, substrate has low energy. When we heat up, their energy increases and the collision ability between the enzyme and substrate increases. So at this temperature, we have low temperature. So there is a low temperature, so there is less collision, so there is less enzyme activity. As the temperature is raised, collision between the molecule increases. As the collision between molecules of enzyme and substrate increase, what happens? What happens? It happens that the collision increase and so the activity increase and more products are being formed. So this is the reason that at 37 and 40 temperature there is maximum collision between enzymes and substrate molecule and there is maximum production of product. So this is how the at high temperature they possess. But what happens? The collision of molecules would also increase, of substrate increase after that temperature, but the enzyme could not tolerate that temperature after that. Why it could not tolerate temperature? Because that could be the reason they have deformation of or breaking of bond between a protein. Protein contains variety of bonds, hydrogen bonds, ionic bonds. So weaker bonds are started to break in there. So breaking of bond occurs here. Breaking of bonds occur here between amino acids, especially hydrogen bond in in the enzyme starts to break, and that actually leads to the deformation of enzyme. So the active sites of the enzyme are deformed. So it leads to inability of enzyme to bind to the substrate molecule. That's why the activity of enzyme starts to decelerate. So there is deceleration of enzymatic activity as we move down to the temperature. So this is the reason. That there is a at high temperature enzyme do not work. The protein is denatured because the bonding between the amino acid break down. So the active site is deformed. That's why the enzyme is unable to perform. So there is an optimum temperature that enzymes at. Next, moving on to the next, what is how the enzymes are impacted by pH? Definitely, they are affected by pH. So several enzymes act at acidic pH. So amino acid present may donate hydrogen, or they may form hydrogen bonds between enzyme and substrate at low temperature by donating their hydrogen. Some may act as an alkaline temperature there because the conformation ability of enzymes at different pH change. What is pH? pH is a ability of an atom or an ion ability of some substance to donate hydrogen. So this is had that pH does have impact as amino acids contains H group in them. So when for different enzymes there is optimum different pH. Some enzymes act best in acidic pH, some enzymes at neutral pH, some enzymes act at alkaline pH. So there is variety of pH that acts upon them. So pepsin is an enzyme which act as pH2. So this is the reason that we can say that enzymes act at optimum pH, but they have variety of pH in them. So this is why that these are the factors which have the impact on the activity of enzyme. So what are the practices we can tell that the enzymes do are impacted by substrate, enzyme. So enzyme concentration. So this is our characteristic. So they act at specific pH and specific temperature. The some temperature, that is optimum temperature at the enzyme. This is how I am going to define that. This is how temperature has impact. This is how pH has impact. This is how this is how substrate has impact. This is how concentration of enzyme have impact. These are the factors which affect the activity of enzyme. Next, moving to the activity of enzymes. Application of enzymes. Here I can take the example, your detergent contains lipase enzyme to remove lipid molecules that are being present on your shirts. So lipase enzyme in your washing powder. So this is the application of enzyme. Another thing I am going to tell you that we know that enzymes are given to the enzymes by the industry in small amount. So we know the characteristics that enzymes are bought in small amounts, so they can be reused again and again. So why the company do not buy another enzyme? Because it's expensive in nature and it can be used again. So how if we mix suppose lactose and lactase enzyme in the milk, so it will digest the lactose, but that enzyme is wasted. So concept of immobilizing enzyme have emerged. What I am trying to say, listen it clearly, that if we mix lactase with milk, so it would digest lactose in the milk, but that would result in the waste of enzyme because lactase will remain in the milk. How we can separate that lactase from the milk? So from here we can say that immobilizing enzyme has a new concept that has been emerged, and that concept of enzyme is being used widely. That concept is being used widely. So immobilizing enzymes. Immobilizing enzymes in which enzyme is attached on the beads. That beads are poured into column. Okay, we put in a milk in them. Okay, what happens? These are the beads that contain lactose. That is fine. Okay, that lactose that is bind to lactose is bind to these beads. Milk is passed, which contains lactose. After passing through it, we have lactose-free milk. For those who are unable to feed on lactose dairy products, those who are lactose intolerant. So for that purpose, lactose-free milk is how it is produced, but the enzyme remains here. So enzyme is not wasted in that case. What happens when the milk is there? Lactose is digested, it is converted into glucose plus lactose, and that product is passed into. Okay, what happens? We pour in the milk. Milk is digested. The present lactose is digested into glucose plus the lactose, and that milk is passed here, and it contains lactose-free milk. So these enzymes remain there. So that enzyme can be used to produce lactose-free milk. So this is how immobilizing enzyme has a variety of use in the field of biology, in the field of industry. So this is how the minute enzyme is enough for activity. So this is these are the application of enzymes. Washing powder is an example. This lactose-free milk production is example. This is how immobilizing enzyme is used. So the production of immobilizing enzyme has some process that we are not going to discuss, but we are going to discuss the application. This is all about if you like my video, do like, comment, share with your friends so that you can learn more concepts about the biology from me.